Rebbecca Robertson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. You can find me on Spotify, Facebook, and TikTok. And it's Rebbecca with double B and double C. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to learn in this video about a lot of things, and it's not going to be a specific thing. So, let's look at Jacob and Esau first, right? And Eber and Shem, right from the previous video. So, we're going to learn about Jacob's time and early studies and also later studies at the Academy of Shem and Eber. In the book of Joshua, chapter 28, it says that when the boys grew up, Jacob and Esau and Jacob, they returned from Gaza to Canaan. And when they returned from Gaza to Canaan, Jacob was 18 years old. That's when his parents sent him for spiritual studies at the Academy of Eber and Shem. So we see here that Jacob desired to study the ways of the Lord and seek spiritual matters. So when he went to study at the Academy of Shem and Eber, he stayed there for 32 years studying their spiritual things. And when he finished, he was 50 years old. And at that time, that's when Shem died. We see that Esau refused to go and study with Jacob because Esau was not interested in the priestly and spiritual matters, and instead he chose to stay with his father at home, going in the fields to hunt animals and the hearts of men with deception and flattery. Let's see when the second time when Jacob went to study at the Academy of Shem and Eber. When after Jacob received the birthright blessings, he was 63 years old. Esau threatened to murder him. So his parents, Rebecca and Isaac, advised him to go to his uncle Laban's house to hide there. We see that Jacob did not go straight to Uncle Laban's house. He went to this Academy of Shem and Eber to learn spiritual studies for 14 years. So we see that when he was 63 you add 14 years, and that will be 77 years. So Jacob arrived at his uncle Laban's house when he was 77 years old. And when he was 79 years old, that's when his grandfather, that's when Eber died. So Eber died when Jacob was 79 years old. So when did the selling of the birthright happen? The selling of the birthright happened when Jacob and Esau, they were 15 years old. We see that Jacob had boiled some lentil stew because his grandfather Abraham had died. And this was a meal, a traditional comforting meal made for a family in mourning after somebody had died, and that person was Abraham. So we see here Esau came home from hunting exhausted, and that's when he desired to have the lentils and sold his birthright to Jacob in exchange for the lentils stew. The stew was a traditional meal for comforting a family that was mourning. How did Eber and Shem Academy look like? The Bible says that Jacob was a Tam, a wholesome man dwelling in tents. In Genesis chapter 25, verse 27. These tents refer to the spiritual structure of the academy. So the Bible here is not mentioning about his mother or father homestead. It is talking about the tents at the academy. So the Bible is trying to mention here that Jacob was someone who was studying spiritual matters at the academy of Shem and Eber, dwelling in tents. This is because the academy looked like a cluster of large reinforced tents tucked away in the mountains. Traditional sources place this academy in Mount Moriah, the current Jerusalem, or the hills of Safed in northern Galilee. So that's where it was located, the Academy of Shem and Eber. What was taught in the Academy of Shem and Eber? The Academy of Shem and Eber, they were taught the 7 laws of Noah. The 7 laws of Noah are the universal moral code given to humanity by God after the flood. They also learned pre-flood secrets. They also learned the Hebrew language, and they also learned the priestly duties. What are the 7 laws of Noah? The 7 laws of Noah, like we have said, they are the universal moral code, and they include they are the 7 commandments before the 10 commandments were ever written. There existed 7 commandments that were called the 7 laws of Noah, given to God to Noah. They are idolatry, that is, do not worship false gods or idols. Blasphemy, do not curse God. Murder, do not take a human life. Theft, do not steal. Sexual immorality, avoiding forbidden practices like incest, adultery, and rape. Do not eat a live animal. That means do not eat an animal when it's alive. And also the 7th is the court of justice. It said, set up legal system and courts to judge offenders and enforce other laws. So we see even before there was ever any 10 commandments, people were going by the 7 laws of Noah that God had given to Noah after the flood. What is the true purpose of the academy? We see that in an era dominated by Nimrod's tyranny, idol worship, and spiritual confusion, the academy served as a safe house where the spiritual chain of history could be passed down face to face from the survivors of the flood, Shem and Eber, straight into the hands of the new world leaders and patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How did the academy preserve the Hebrew language? To understand this, we have to see how what happened at the Tower of Babel and what happened before the building and the confusion at the Tower of Babel. So let us look at Eber. Eber was a prophet, and it shows in the Bible, and I will show you. Eber was a prophet of God, and he is first mentioned in Genesis chapter 10, verse 25. So how was Eber a prophet? Eber was able to predict the building of the Tower of Babel and the confusion of languages. We see that through the Holy Spirit, he foresaw the confusion and the scattering of people all over the earth. How do we see that? We see that he named his son Peleg, and Peleg meant division, as a prophecy of the coming scatter. Peleg, that's where we see that Eber was a prophet in Genesis chapter 10, verse 25, where he named his son Peleg, meaning division. So before the confusion, the Bible tells us the confusion of the languages at the Tower of Babel. The Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 11, verse 1, that everyone on the earth was speaking one language and one speech. What was this one language and one speech? This language and one speech was Lashon HaKodesh, the Holy Tongue, which we know it now by the name Hebrew. So when Nimrod led the rebellion at the Tower of Babel, Eber and his family and Shem did not join in the building of the Tower of Babel. So when God came down to confuse people, so they started speaking different languages, we see that Eber was spared and his family, and also Shem was spared from the confusion of the languages. So they retained the original holy language of creation. This holy language of creation, Lashon HaKodesh, it is said it is the primordial Hebrew language through which God spoke the universe into existence. What is primordial? Primordial means since the beginning of time. So we see that this language existed since the beginning of time. How did the Academy preserve the language of the holy language of creation? So we see that the Academy served as a refuge and acted as an isolated linguistic island. That's one of the, I will show you how. Also the title Hebrew, from the word Eva. So the title Hebrew in the Jewish language is Ivrit. So also this language was passed down to Jacob, who spent decades of studying at the academy, and also he passed the language to his 12 sons, and also his 12 sons, they maintained it during the 210 years of Egyptian slavery. We see that during the Egyptian slavery, the Israelites did not change their language. They continued to speak the same exact language that they inherited from Jacob, their father. So what happened to the academy after Eber died. The academy moved to Egypt. When the great famine struck and the sons of Jacob relocated to Egypt, they did not leave their spiritual heritage behind. The tribe of Levi established a branch of the Yeshiva Academy. Yeshiva is the academy right inside the land of Goshen. Goshen was in Egypt. So we see also that the academy of Shem and Eber was kept fully operational in Egypt, so the Pharaoh respected it as a sacred institution of higher learning. So the tribe of Levi was never enslaved by the Egyptian, but the other tribes, they were enslaved by the Egyptian through forced labor, but the Levites remained inside the academy. In ancient times, people respected educational institutions. So instead of being enslaved, because the tribe of Levi was the one that was running this academy, they were never forced to do harsh labor, brutal labor, and making bricks. So they were never enslaved, the tribe of Levi. How did they get away with this? How was the academy? When the Israelites were forced into labor under Pharaoh, the tribe of Levi remained completely free. How did that happen? In ancient Near East, including Egypt, priests and religious scholars were legally exempt from taxes and forced labor. Because the Levites continually operated the Academy of Shem and Eber as a formal religious institution, Pharaoh respected this boundary and never forced them into brick making and field labor. So we see that here that it was a legal exemption. That's how they were never enslaved. So the Academy of Shem and Eber in Egypt, in the land of Goshen, that was run by the Levites, it acted as a spiritual safe house. It became a beacon of hope for the enslaved Israelites. So while the other tribes worked under harsh forced labor during the day, they would secretly go into the Levite tents by night, and the Levites would remind them of their true identity, teach them the holy tongue, Hebrew, and keep their spirit alive. So the academy also acted as a preservation for the scrolls, like a library. The Levites, they guarded the secret collection of ancient scroll passed down from the academy. So these scrolls, they contained prophecy of Abraham and Joseph, from promising that God would eventually send a redeemer to free them. So this academy, we see that it was very important because it was preserving all these things. The academy in Egypt also helped train the future Redeemer, who was Moses. So we see that after Moses ran from Pharaoh's palace, he went to hide in the academy, and that's where he learned spiritual things from his grandfather Amram, who was the head of the Levitical Academy at that time. So that's where Moses learned everything about God and everything at the Academy of Eber and Shem, and now passed down to the Levites. It was passed down to Jacob, and then it was passed down to the Levites. And they are the ones that were running this academy. So the Academy of Shem and Eber relied on a mixture of ancient written scroll and perfect oral memorization. So we see that in the academy, they had written scrolls from Adam and Noah. So we see there was several scrolls in the academy. The first one was the book of Adam. So before I tell you what the book of Adam is and what happened, it is important to know that the book of Adam, it is allowed for Christians to know that Adam had a book. Even in the Jewish people, in Judaism, it is allowed to know that Adam had a book. What is not allowed and is forbidden is to practice things that are said to have been inside the book of Adam. It just goes straight into the occult and magic practice. That's how it is forbidden. So we see that when Adam fell and God sent him out of the garden, he became very devastated and very stressed. So God sent an angel to comfort him and give him a book. And this book is called the Book of Adam. So this book, it was written in Hebrew, the language of creation. So this angel came to teach Adam the contents of the book. I will tell you in another video about this book and what the angel taught Adam. Let me just say now, the angel taught Adam the codes in the book and the pronunciations of the word, because Adam, in his fallen status, he had forgotten how to read the words of God, because these words in the book, they were not normal words. They were written in fire and light. So Adam, in his fallen status, he could not read these words written in the fire and light of God. So the angel came to teach him again about how to read the words and comfort him. So Adam passed this book to his son Seth. His son Seth passed it to Enoch and to Methuselah and eventually to Noah. So before also this academy had the scrolls of Noah. Before the great flood, Noah was commanded by God to write down everything he knew about the laws of humanity, remedies of illnesses, and other things. So he stored these written records safely inside the ark. So we see that also in the academy, they learned about the books of Adam, the scrolls of Noah, and also the other thing. So all these things, Noah handed this after Noah, Shem inherited these scrolls and the book of Noah, the scrolls of Noah and the book of Adam. Shem inherited them from Noah. And then Shem brought them to the academy of Shem and Noah, and this academy's name is known by the Hebrew name Yeshiva. So today, in our world, we hear Jewish people talk about Yeshiva University and things like that. I think this Yeshiva, the word Yeshiva, came from the academy, and this academy began with Shem and Eber. So if you hear people talking about a yeshiva, it just means an academy. And this academy is really ancient. It didn't start the other day. So we see that in the academy, the students, they absorbed information through listening, repeating words, and memorizing words. So we see that before Babel, the Tower of Babel, and before the language was the confusion at the Tower of Babel, humans had a high cognitive capacity and lifespan. So they were able to memorize something and learn something once, and they would remember the exact same thing in their entire lifetime. They could sit down in a lecture and they remember it for their entire life. But today we see that as human cognitive capacity keeps declining, we see that we forget things a lot. This one was not like this immediately after the flood or before the flood. People had a really good memory before the flood and after the flood. So that's how they were able to maintain and preserve everything that was taught to them by Noah, by Shem, by Adam. So yeah. What materials did they write on? Based on biblical archaeology, they wrote on animal hides. They skinned the clean animals according to the Bible, and they would record all the information and genealogies on them. They will also write on clay and stone tablets, like we see in the movies, that the 10 Commandments, Moses went up the mountain and God wrote for him the 10 Commandments on stone tablets. We have seen that Adam was taught how to read again after the fall by an angel. What was the name of this angel that taught Abraham how to read the book that God sent the angel to give it to Adam? The name of this angel was Raziel. We have seen that after Adam was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, God sent the angel Raziel to comfort him. So the angel did not just drop and leave, just drop the book and leave like delivery, like we have the delivery services today. No, Raziel sat with Adam and explained how to read the glowing characters and decode the letters and unlock the pronunciations. The letters in the book, they were glowing in fire, like the burning bush of Moses. It was burning, but there was fire, but the tree was not burning. So these words were like that. So before Adam had fallen and kicked out of the Garden of Eden, he had divine intuition and infused knowledge. He knew this language, the holy creation, the holy language of creation. Adam knew it, and he did not have to go to school because he was divinely created and he possessed an inherent built-in mastery of the Hebrew language given to him by God. So he did not have to go to school like when babies are born and then they have to go to grow up and go to school. So Adam was already a grown up and God had created him with all the knowledge. How do we know that God had created Adam with all the knowledge and did not have to go to school to learn the Hebrew language in the Garden of Eden? It is in Genesis chapter 2 verse 19 and 20 where God brought all the animals to Adam and he told him to name them all. So Adam immediately named the animals and gave them their right names, the names that God already had given them. So Adam did not have to go to school to learn the names of the animal. His wisdom was divinely inside him, created inside him already. So he also had the built-in literacy. He already knew the Hebrew alphabets after he was created. Immediately he was created, he already knew the Hebrew alphabet and how the Hebrew words worked. So when after the fall, after Adam was kicked out, the angel simply had to teach him how to apply the words again, because he was in his fallen status, and this word in the book that the angel brought him, they were divinely, they were glowing and with the fire of God. So it was hard for Adam to look at it in his fallen status and understand it. So he had to learn again from Angel Raziel. So I hope you have learned something today, and I hope that next time I am going to bring you something else, and you're going to learn something new. So thank you for watching my YouTube channel, and God bless you, and see you in the next video.